The Creepiest Town in America by Papa Meat.
Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? Come on in and sit on down. Now today, I have something pretty interesting to talk about. When you think of Florida, what's the first thing you think of? Old people?
Tampa.
Retirees? You probably think of Miami. Beautiful women. Unbelievable street food. You probably
does Charlie count?
think of Disney World, alligators and swamps, humidity, and, you know, all those crazy Florida residents. But I'm sure one thing that maybe slips your mind is the creepiest town in all of the United States of America.
I'm ready.
And that, of course, is Clearwater, Florida. We were going to do a big video about a bunch of different creepy towns, but this specific town was so interesting and so oddly disturbing that we were just like, F it, we're just doing the whole thing about Clearwater. Clearwater is very, very interesting. If I could do a sales pitch to you, it's a cult buys a town. That sounds like a movie or a video game, but it's very much real life. And it's something that is so fascinating because it is still ongoing today. There's no real happy ending to this story, but it's a story nonetheless. So to really get into Clearwater, we're
now I know what we're talking.
We're gonna have to understand Scientology. If you've been alive while the internet has been a big thing, it's impossible to avoid Scientology. You might know a little here and there, but it's a very fascinating subject, and I think to really get into Clearwater, we should do a little brief overview of what Scientology exactly is. And also,
I agree. We should watch the South Park Scientology episode. That is a perfect idea.
if I have any Scientologist fans out there, no, sorry. So to quickly explain Scientology, it's a modern religion made by the science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard. He conceived of this religion in the 1950s. The religion follows his teachings, which are laid out in his top-selling books, Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. He's a science fiction writer, but also a lot of what Dianetics is it's just like a compilation of self-help books, kind of cherry-picking all kinds of things from different areas of self-help, you know, therapy and all kinds of stuff like that, and he kind of just put it into one big book, and then he threw a giant alien on it, and volcano.
I mean, inherently picking and choosing what works and what doesn't, separating them and compiling what works. I mean, like, was it Bruce Lee? Wasn't that his philosophy of take what you want and I'm very greatly paraphrasing this on information I barely remember. Something about taking what information that works for you and then applying it, right? Like, that in itself is pretty benign, but from what I understand, there's a lot of other factors that go into why South Park made an episode in Scientology.
He knows. Like, if you look at the book of Dianetics, it doesn't really correlate with what's inside. And a lot of people who started following the religion in like the 60s, they loved it. I mean, it's self-help practices that are actually practical, that actually help people. It's just when you get you're in a cult and the leader goes kind of crazy and, you know, he's running away from people in the ocean. We're going to get to that soon. It gets a little dicey. I think all things start with goodwill, except for L. Ron. I think he was just out for a quick payday. Essentially, they're a cult that brainwashes people to isolate themselves from their families and tries to use celebrity endorsements to encourage people to join them. Which, with any cult that you're in, the biggest thing with cult is that you separate entirely and then you almost depend on this new group of people to function and actually live. But the interesting...
Wow, it's almost like we've talked about this in multiple reactions. We've almost talked about how if you want to control and manipulate people, generally you isolate them and make them dependent on you. Weird. It's almost like I sometimes know what I'm talking about.
The thing about Scientology is that they have the celebrity endorsement aaspect. The top one, of course, being Tom Cruise. That's pretty crazy, that Tom Cruise. And I mean, he is all in. There's no, they pay him. No, this motherfucker is all in. So to have a cult that has such a prominent status in LA and people are so celebrity obsessed, it's pretty easy to understand how people could get sucked into this. There's also Danny Matheson from that 70s show. He's a good guy, right?
No way. This is Hyde, right? Yeah, didn't he do something like an interview? And like, where do you see yourself in like 5 to 10 years? And he's like, I think he unironically said prison. And then he went to prison. I haven't thought about that 70s show in a hot minute. And honestly, I need to rewatch. More and more as I grow up. I'm 30. More and more as I age, we'll put it that way. More and more as I age, I relate to Red Foreman. I think a lot of people, a lot of things, just need a boot in their rear. It's actually quite scary how much I agree with Red as I get older.
Or Leah Remini, she was Kevin James's wife on King of Queens, and now her entire life is basically trying to expose Scientology. And I will say too, just because we're listing off celebrities and stuff, if you are interested in Scientology and kind of understanding the weird ins and outs of it, there's a great Louis Theroux documentary that's very, very good. I love Louis Theroux. Shout out Louis Theroux. The church claims that there are millions of active church members, but estimates seem to think that there are less than 40,000 Scientologists worldwide. The church's influence comes from the estimated $3 billion in cash and assets it has.
You know what? I'm in the wrong line of work. I'm just going to make a cult at this point. That is, for legal and transparency reasons, this is clearly a joke.
Collected from its followers. And Clearwater is the epicenter of that revenue stream. So, how did Clearwater come to be? Well, let's take a look, shall we? Scientology's start in Clearwater once again begins with L. Ron Hubbard. At the time, L. Ron Hubbard was overseeing...
No.
Start in Clearwater...
What are you doing to those tomatoes? Did those tomatoes? Those tomatoes did not consent to you doing whatever you're doing to those tomatoes. I need you to back off and give them 6 feet.
Once again begins with L. Ron Hubbard. At the time, L. Ron Hubbard was overseeing religion from aboard a ship to avoid investigations into tax evasion and fraud when he selected Clearwater as the spiritual headquarters. So at the time,
hold up. Left side of the image, the platform underneath the crane. Why do I just see habitual line crosser face? Like this, like the center of this structure thing, like the platform, the crane on the left, right? The on the top, there's a couple eyes, and then the open space in the center. That's the mouth. All I see is habitual line crosser in this image.
Into tax evasion and fraud when he selected Clearwater as the spiritual headquarters. So at the time, L. Ron Hubbard, he's literally living on the ocean. That's why they have a literal sect in their religion called the Sea Org. That's because of that. He was like, okay. We should get on a boat and go because we should go. Yeah, that sounds cool. And he even gave himself a captain's outfit, like a general's outfit. Unbelievable. I think it was towards the latter half of his life when he's a little cuckoo. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? Even all the power and stuff like that, I think that maybe some drug use was happening, I don't know. Which, it met his criteria. It was a warm climate, it was near an international airport, and it had a hotel that could be repurposed into the Church of Scientology's main base of operations. Which, look at that. Really, honestly, it is a beautiful hotel.
Spicy hotel.
I would go. Well, the church comes in, they're just like, this town's kind of a little gross, all right? It's a little party town. We're gonna clean it up. We gotta introduce morals back into this party town. We need to bring morals back into town. Isn't that right, L. Ron Hubbard? Yes, that's correct. They deemed it the Project Normandy. The Church of Scientology devised a plan to take control over the city of Clearwater, which is kind of a f***ed-up name to call that. Project Normandy. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the Battle of Normandy Beach, Normandy Beach, and World War II is where people just got basically massacred, which the first step was to purchase the Fort Harrison
little insensitive
Hotel and establish it as their headquarters, which they dubbed as their flag land base. The next step was to fully investigate the Clearwater City and county area so that they could distinguish their friends from their enemies and handle as needed. The church had the members infiltrate.
That was not me. That was YouTube just being like, no, we're going to buffer.
Local newspapers, community agencies, and law firms in order to spy on their enemies, which is really, really weird and creepy. And that's one thing you'll find with a lot of Scientologists is those motherfuckers snoop and they dig because their entire formula for success is fear-based blackmail. And the idea that they just come in and they immediately start snooping, terrible new guest. One of their targets was the mayor of Clearwater, Gabe Cazares. He began to grow suspicious of the church's intent as they continued to buy up more real estate through their shell companies. Soon, Cazares became the church's biggest critic and called the group a terrorist group. Pretty funny. You're not in good standing.
He said the funny T word.
Whenever the literal mayor of the town is just like, does anyone else see those group of monsters hanging over there? And they're just like, what are we doing, Gabe? In an attempt to smear Gabe Cazares, the Scientologists tried staging a hit-and-run accident dubbed Speedy Gonzalez. What?
No way, bro. There's no way. There had to have been a lawsuit over that, right? For unauthorized use of IP. There is no way.
So racist, dude. Did they have a manila envelope that said Speedy Gonzalez on it and falsely made allegations that the mayor had a second wife in Mexico, similarly dubbed Mayor Cazares handling project. There was also Project Taco Less, which again was another operation to ruin his career. Just racist campaign against this mayor. What's so weird is that it feels so juvenile. Speedy Gonzalez. How about we name this one Project Taco Less? With every documentary I've ever seen or anything, Scientologists like to record people. Like if they see that you're recording something, they'll come out and they'll record people, and they're very childlike. If you're just like, why are you recording me? They'll be like, why are you recording me? And they'll like do the back and forth game.
Oh my God. It's just 4chan. Guys, we've done it. We've solved it. You have to treat Scientology like 4chan.
Remember the mimic game? And you're just like, okay. It's funny that it carries through even into all the way down to the 70s. I wonder if there's something where they're just like, all right, well, if you do get infiltrated, we're going to act like babies. We're going to act like juvenile 8-year-olds. Rebecca, write that down. First level, always be racist. Goes up to the person. Oops on the nose. All right, now go off, Tiger. Both of these smear campaigns were unsuccessful, and Cazares and his wife sued the church for $1.5 million.
That's back then money.
Boom. Love that. In 1986, the church ended up settling. Unfortunate. Today's video is sponsored by Factor. Are you looking to eat healthier, but you just simply don't have the goddamn time? Well, Factor is here for you. Factor is a subscription service that brings nutritious meals to your door. They are ready to eat right out of the packaging. All you need is 2 minutes to heat, eat, and enjoy. You know, during the week, it's hard to keep up with everything. All the rigmaroles, right? Your lady's barking at you. Your boyfriend's being a bum. It's terrible. And last thing you have to do is you have to go to a grocery store, wait in a line, you have to meal prep all because you want to eat good. That! Just get Factor. With over 35 meals to choose from each week, and specialty options like keto, calorie smart, and vegan, you're sure to find a dish that works for you. I like Factor because it's fast, it's flexible, and at any given time, I can change my orders up if I'm feeling a little, I want to try something new. I just get in, get out really quick. Factor's here to give us these back alley deals, and by God, I'm enjoying it. And here's the thing, you're always gonna want good food, but when you're short on time or if life is just throwing these goddamn giant barrels at you, give Factor a try. No, seriously, do it. So head over to Factor75.com or click this link and use code PAPAMeat50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life. 2 free wellness shots from these available flavors for every order while you are an active subscriber. Thank you, Factor, for partnering this video, and back to the video.
I was gonna say 8, but I think I would give it a 9 out of 10. I don't know what pushes it over. I think it felt a little long, but I mean, like the fact that he uses the product, the facial expressions, relevant footage, no BS attitude, relevant legal disclosure in regards to as long as you're an active paying member with every order, right? Okay, yeah, that makes sense for a lifetime, right? I like that disclosures. I give it a 9 out of 10. I don't know what pushes over the top. 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 out of 10 is how I would word that.
These plans to take over the city were uncovered when the FBI raided the Scientology headquarters in Los Angeles and Washington. Documents showed that the United Churches of Florida was created as a front to protect church assets from seizure by the government. There was also Operation Freakout, which was a plan to get Paulette Cooper, a critic of the church, committed to a mental institution.
Dude, this can't be legal, right? This can't be legal to... I mean, obviously, if you just talk about like, oh, well, that's an idea, right? It's like, whatever. I guess that's like protected, I guess. That can't be legal to conspire to, like, what's the word? Not devalue, not demean. Slander somebody and conspire to throw them in an institution, whether that be a mental institution or like prison. That can't be legal.
There were also additional documents stating that Scientology had plans for complete world control. Imagine being an FBI agent, just United Churches of Florida. It's just them documenting everything that they're doing in this front to protect all their assets, which is just a vault full of gold.
I don't... Conspiring for world domination, I don't want to hear anybody in 2025 forward. I don't want to hear anybody talking about national security. No way.
Also claim they own a dragon. That can't possibly be true. Because of the raids, 11 church leaders were charged with conspiring to steal government documents, theft of government documents, and conspiring to obstruct justice.
Sure.
And even though plans to take over Clearwater were halted, this did not stop the church from continuing to buy as much property as they could. Over the next 4 decades after settling there, the church had amassed 58 properties in Clearwater under its name. 49 of them were downtown, and 73% of the the property is tax exempt for religious purposes. And in the 1990s, Scientology magazine, one of the church's listed goals for 2000 was to, quote, make Clearwater known as the first Scientology city in the world. Bro is trying to become the Holy Roman Empire. But that's just the thing, is that their pockets are so deep, they're able to go in like McDonald's and buy up all these real estate options to where they probably control almost all of the downtown property, or at least a large portion of it. 49's a lot in any given city. Might not be New York levels, but we're talking about Clearwater, Florida here. All right? Just want to put that out there. Which Clearwater campus is home to Flag, or flagship campus for Scientology. They put a lot of emphasis on it. It's like it's one of their bases, if not the base for all of their operations. And a lot of the things that they did in Clearwater too was they would train a lot of operatives there. People would move there, and they would usually work for free, and you would just sleep on a cot and eat beans. That's what it was like. And you just like were like, la 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 la. I'm so happy, and it hurts to put my hands in the ocean, but that's okay. Scientologists all around the world travel there, and it's designed to host established followers. Many important training courses take place here, so it makes sense why they are trying to isolate and take over the city. They want people to come on in who are already established. They don't have to worry about all the bullshit of doing the feet level things. You have to hold it, and people are just like, what the fuck is this? This is stupid. And they're like, no, it's really cool, actually. I'm going to leave. Please stay. No, I'm seriously going to go. And they're like, here goes another one. They want to have people who are already brainwashed, essentially. But when they go there, they're trying to have people flock to the city to make it look more legitimate and to, once again, seriously, like, emulate this idea that this is like a big religious holy land kind of thing and get as much free labor as they possibly can. One of the main...
It's 100% an image thing. It also reinforces the isolationist tenant policies, right? To, well, you moved to Clearwater, Florida, and are you necessarily going to be able to talk to your family? I mean, I'm sure you could probably talk to them, but I mean, are they within reach of you? Did you have to move all the way across country? Are you going to feel more isolated because you just moved to a new area? And then, oh, well, then you have confirmation bias because everyone around you is a good Scientologist like you, and you're in the right place, kiddo. And it's just like, you see how that can kind of build into each other, how that kind of continues that mindset, that cult mentality to cut people off, to make them dependent on you, to make anybody who even dares remotely question them the outsider, the infidel, the outcast, the troublemaker, if you will. And nobody wants to be that because they all want to be in. They all want to be in this together. That's what they were promised.
Courses here is chief training for class 5 org staff, which is the highest level of staff. If you're class 5, that's when you're learning about Xenu. You paid your dues. Because also another thing about Scientology is to level up, you have to pay. You have to put money into it. It isn't just about doing good work. I'm a good guy. Cool. Write us a check. It's the pyramid schemes of all pyramid schemes is kind of what it is. They're auditing for OT7, Truth Revealed. These are the ultimate secrets of Hubbard's teaching, which is about doomsday prophecies where Hubbard will come back from the dead in a messiah-like role to halt the enslavement of his followers. So they're apparently going to get enslaved somehow, but he is going to come back. You want him to come back? This is the guy. Can he come back looking cooler? The campus collects millions of dollars each week through fundraising and payments for expensive courses and high-level religious counseling not offered anywhere else. It is said that visitors are expected to stay in Scientology's hotels and eat at private church restaurants. If you're spending money at...
You know what? I feel like people are going to shit on the idea, pun intended. I feel like this is efficient, though. I feel like we're onto something with this. I feel like this is efficient, and I feel like I could get in on this. I feel like this would be a really effective way to do this. Actually, I like this.
At Clearwater, you're spending money at a Scientology thing. They will milk you dry. The upper levels of the Sea Org are also trained there, which the Sea Org is also trained in Clearwater. And to explain what Sea Org is exactly, it's a division of the Church of Scientology. They're paramilitary organizations, which they don't really have any. It's like dress up. It's very, It's pretend. Before establishing themselves in Clearwater, the Sea Org existed on a fleet of sea vessels because of the tax evasion. The members signed billion-year contracts and work non-stop, and usually for free. And according to Scientology beliefs, members are expected to return to the Sea Org when they are reborn. That's a drag. Their motto is Revenomous, which of course translates to "We come back."
Okay.
That's creepy. That is so creepy. Revenomous!
So when are we getting the U.S. Marine Corps and/or Navy games? When are they squaring off against the Sea Org so that the Sea Org can show how proficient their paramilitary force is? I mean, all I'm saying is I feel like there'd be a number of U.S. military personnel that would love to, test the efficiency and the hardened training and resolve of these Sea Org members. I'm sure that they would definitely give a quite the performance, and they would be very well trained, and they'd be very much a match for them.
Defectors have claimed that they were paid less than $50 a week for their services. And the Sea Org members are also victims of human trafficking, which is a lot of fun. They're often brought from other countries, tempted to join by offering a legitimate way of entering the United States. You want to live in America? It's nice here. Ooh, you landed in Clearwater?
Rough.
Yikes. So after the 70s, they had to die down because the FBI came in and they found all their crayon drawings and all their applesauce cups and their spit bibs and stuff and their hard hats. And this was the next time that they really pushed on Clearwater, which Scientology's footprint expanded in the area, and so did Clearwater's beaches' popularity for tourists. Business downtown struggled to stay open, and city leaders spent millions of dollars improving the area, and in 2016, city consultants began planning a $64 million effort to reinvigorate the downtown waterfront. Then, something happened. In the first 2 months of 2017, a handful of companies bought 6 commercial properties downtown for $26 million. It seems that the church had their own revitalization plan. And after a bid over an aquarium didn't go in their favor, the church had an explosion of purchases and non-church business owners were forced out. And let me tell you, with locals, it was war.
So, hostile takeover status.
Church doubled its footprint in less than 3 years. Business owners were offered cash with values 2 to 4 times the property's value. Most of these businesses didn't have buildings for sale, but they had to accept. The offer was strong, but also businesses for most of these places was bad since Clearwater had become a ghost town for tourists, and the locals knew not to come there. Years and years of the Sea Org being there, a lot of these weird Scientology people walking around scared all of the locals off and many of the tourists. Altogether, 32 companies bought 92 downtown properties since 2017.
I mean, okay, so like from a reasonable and rational standpoint, right? You got a bunch of people that look like they're in a cult, right? Let's be real, right? If I don't know, let's say I had, Anakin Sith cloak status, right? And me and a bunch of other people were doing that, right? And I was marching through, I don't know, Boise, Idaho, right? The capital. Well, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be like, not my state. Even though, I don't know, we're cosplaying as Star Wars or something like that. Or we actually all have actual cult uniform status. And we're walking through Boise, Idaho. People are going to be like, not in my state, right? It's just going to make people unnerved. This is just a logical thing. It's sure, have your expression, have your identity, be part of whatever, but this is more from the management side of things, right? Especially because we're talking about taking over an entire city effectively. It's going to have a knock-on effect where everyone's going to be John and or Jane Scientology. It's going to make other people just be like, okay, sure, you do your Scientology thing, I'm just going to go over here, not here, right? That's just how that's going to work. That's just how people will work.
Totaling in a cost of $103 million, and $99 million of that was paid in cash. Most of the buildings purchased have been left sitting empty and unused.
Wild.
Some of the shopfronts are just for show, and it evokes the feeling of fake town similar to North Korea and China. Trying to evoke the same thing as thinking that it's a prosperous town, trying to think that business is going on here, but it looks like a set at Disney World. It has
isn't this the concept of what is it? Is it the Ryugyong Hotel, the hotel that's just the building in North Korea, but it's not actually furnished. It's just kind of a prop.
Left Clearwater as mostly a ghost town. You might look into a store and it's just the uncanny effect that there's nothing behind there. It's almost like this is a stage play. Uniformed employees of Scientology's Sea Org walk the streets at all times of day and night. The Sea Org agents will follow and photograph anyone that is caught walking through the area. If you were even just in town, God forbid you didn't know anything about it and you were just walking through, how creepy is it that a uniformed person with a camera would just follow you? And not only one person, but probably multiple people would follow you with cameras, record you. They probably don't respond to you asking what's going on, and you are forced to leave, and you probably just feel like you're in danger the entire time that you're down there. So this is a snapshot taken from Google Maps. It's of a skywalk between 2 of the churches of Scientology, and it is reported that these skywalks were built to keep members of Sea Org from interacting with the public. So not only that, but even while they were probably buying up property, they were making these sky bridges. You could be walking there, and then you just see people up in the windows, and you'll never see them again. There's just so much more mystery behind the eyes of a stranger when you know that they're in a cult. We did find this.
So what was the South African cult, the one with the funny drink that definitely game ended a bunch of people. Yeah, so when does that happen? Like, I'm trying to figure out what stage of cult we're in. I'm trying to figure out, like, you know, like where we're at on the trajectory of escalation.
Case on Lisa McPherson, which is interesting. It's a woman from the 90s. This is just something horrific that was seen by the public in the town of Clearwater while things are going on, and this is what happened during that time. So in 1995, Lisa McPherson, a member of the church who was having a mental health crisis, was stripped naked in public begging for help. She was eventually taken into custody by members of the church who forcibly removed her from state care. She was subjected to 17 days of auditing to cure her mental condition, and she later had died from a blood clot caused by severe dehydration. The church faced 2 felony charges, but they were later dropped after the medical examiner ruled the death as an accident. The Lisa McPherson thing is horrible, but it's not surprising, unfortunately, because the Scientology has a thing they call as quote-unquote fair game policy that allows for aggressive tactics against perceived enemies of the church. This has included stalking, harassment, and legal battles against former members and critics. They have all—
I mean, you do realize that this opens you up to the same tactic, though, right? So, like, I don't know if, let's say, you know, this Sea Org Scientology wing wants to pick a fight with 4chan. You're gonna have a bunch of 4chan people saying, "Do it, Lamau. go for the wrist, Lamau." Like, dude, it's just gonna be a tit for tat. It's gonna be like watching an argument on 4chan. That's all it's gonna be.
the deep pockets in the world. They have all of these empty-brained people walking around with cameras that are gonna record you in public.
Does homie have the cap on the lens?
These empty-brained—
Okay, no, I was about to say, did homeboy actually forget to remove the cap? No, okay, it's off.
People walking around with cameras that are going to record you in public, and God forbid any of these people think that you're that much of a threat, you're going to get struck down in the street. And who would even see it? No one! Because it's a ghost town. It's a town run completely by these crazy people. Which, and this is just a fun little thing. Let's go back to Tom Cruise real quick. Tom Cruise owns a penthouse 2 blocks from the main church. A man posted a video of himself touring the penthouse while under construction, and the Church of Scientology demanded that he take it down. He was then stalked and followed by members of the church. Eventually, he found cameras planted in front of his house, and he decided to sell the property because of these events. Do you blame him? What's insane to think is that Clearwater, this is something that's still going on, and something that is in the United States. When you hear stuff from overseas, like North Korea, and you hear stuff that's like, they have a fake town that makes it look like their country is prospering and people are really happy, you think that could never happen here on your home turf, or in a place like America, maybe Florida. You could maybe expect it in Florida, of all places. It is insane to think that this is something that just is ongoing and exists.
Idaho. I could see something like this happening in Idaho.
And that there are currently people who are brainwashed, living and giving all of their valuable human years to this organization that is just pumping them dry. There's really nothing more horrifying than something that is just so blatantly real and in your face. To have the monsters of the town be people who were once humans, who are now just these soulless people walking around harassing and recording people and serving some kind of crazy mission that they believe to be true. It's frightening. A little bit. I would love to go. I'd love to go and surf. I think, in my opinion.
Oh my God, I would go. I would go in a group, 100%. And people would try to film me, and bro, you don't want that travel vlog. That would get really spicy really quick. Not like in a violence kind of way, but in a like, oh, that is the ultimate invitation to shitpost.
That this is the creepiest town in America. I'd be very curious if you guys have any other creepy towns that we can cover. Do you think this is the creepiest town or not? I don't know. Tell us other creepy towns. I'd love to figure out some stuff. Until next time, thank you so much for watching this video, and hey, don't join a cult. We'll see you next time.
I mean, you have what? Like, you have Helltown. I think it's what, Helltown, Ohio, Centralia, Pennsylvania. I mean, you definitely have some creepy towns, but I think this is creepy for a different matter altogether. I will say as well that I mean, of course, if they have Sea Org and they're very confident in it, and they're very, very well trained. I mean, I'd love to see some military war games, right? I'd love to see the U.S. Navy, U.S. military, U.S. Marine Corps. I'd love to see them have some, like how the Army and the Navy have their war games, right? How they have their military games. Yeah, absolutely. And then we can see just how much higher of a caliber that Sea Org is, and clearly it would be a very good recruiting opportunity for Scientology, because they would never back down from an offer like that. They would never back down from an opportunity to prove how superior they are. Absolutely not. Thank you, Papa Meat, for an amazing video. I absolutely love this. Hopefully you found this entertaining. I found this incredibly entertaining, honestly. I found this as a Ooh, the shit poster in me. Ooh. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next